Okay, so the password in the next level, again, data.txt, which contains base64 encoded data. Okay, so the password is base64 encoded. So we've got, again, commands that you may need to know to solve this level. And one of the first things you'll see is base64. Well, not first things. One of the things you see down there is the base64 command, and they even have helpful reading material. So you can go to Wikipedia and read what base64 is. But essentially, base64 is encoding. And you know, when a file or a string or data is put through base64 encoding, it is encoded. It's kind of like a mathematical equation, kind of like a cipher. You can think of it as kind of like encryption. So when it's put through that, you can use the base64 command to decode certain things. For example, if we go here and go to the manual page for base64, yep, you can see here you can encode or decode data and then print that data, right? So the decode option is -D, or you can do -- decode. Sometimes it's cool to do that. Whenever you're doing command line arguments for any of your commands, this left-hand side, -D, -I, -W, like those things are the newer version of Linux-based commands. The -- plus the words, that's like the old school, that's the old school Unix, right? Which was kind of like the core to Linux, if you will. So yeah, you can do -- decode. That's fun. We'll do it that way. But let's see what's in here first. Yep, we got data.txt. All right. So let's, in fact, let me just show you. If we cat data.txt, okay, see this right here, this is base64 encoded. Okay. And usually you can tell, and I've done a lot of different capture the flags. I've competed in the National Cyber League, which is for cybersecurity students, which is an awesome competition. I highly recommend you check it out. But I can usually tell that it's base64 because it always ends with these two equal signs. So let's just decode this. So we're going to do base64 -- decode because we're doing things in a really neat way. Data.txt right there. So this string, this data was base64 encoded. And this is good to know because you will come across encoded, in encoded data, encoded messages, and you'll have to try to put them through a decoder. And this is a great command line terminal way of doing it. There is a really neat online tool. There's tons of online tools you can use. There's even password crackers that are online now instead of having to use Hashcat on your terminal. But there's an online tool called CyberChef. I highly recommend you check it out. CyberChef has a bunch of different ciphers and ways of decoding things, base64, ROT13, things like that. And then you can put this string right here into it, and then it basically, quote unquote, cooks it and decodes it for you.